Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning in to another video. This video is going to be all about dealing with weight gain and how I was able to deal with weight gain in order to get my period back. So if you haven't seen my previous videos, I had hypothalamic amenorrhea, which is loss of a period, and I had this through being very lean, through over-exercising. I had a very low body fat percentage, I had visible abs, and then I came off the pill and I had hypothalamic amenorrhea, and it took me a year altogether to get my period back. And to do that, I had to gain a significant amount of weight. And although this is the reason why I had to gain weight, hopefully this video will be useful for lots of different people who have had to gain weight for different reasons. So it could be a choice, it could be in terms of you wanting to gain weight in order to build muscle and strength, so it could be more towards a fitness goal, or it could just be an aesthetic goal that you'd like to gain weight, or you've recovered from a previous eating disorder. Whatever the reason, hopefully this video will be useful for lots of different people. As I know, when going through my journey, it was one of the things that I got asked about the most, is how do you deal with that weight gain? How do you go from looking like one of the fit ones, one who goes to the gym all the time, being very lean, to actually gaining weight and having a very different body shape? So for me, the things that I would say I struggled with the most initially were the idea of just overall putting on body fat, so the look and feeling uncomfortable, as well as clothes getting tighter, the idea of then having to buy a whole new wardrobe, and I suppose the thoughts of other people. What were they thinking? What were their comments going to be? And again, I've touched on it in a previous video, but it's that whole idea of having a certain identity and then feeling like you're going to lose that identity. And those were the things that I struggled with the most. So what were the things that helped me, I guess, were trying to turn those negatives into a positive. So for example, you know, oh, my clothes are getting tighter. Turn that into a positive. I get to buy new clothes. When I put those clothes on, yes, they're a bigger size. You know, I've gone up a size, but actually I felt like I looked better in those clothes. I had curves and, you know, I felt actually more womanly, more sexy in those clothes than I did previously. And, you know, the idea of thinking, oh, I'm not exercising enough, I feel lazy, but actually turning that into a positive. You're giving your body that time to restore and repair itself. I think all those little things, it's amazing what a shift in mindset can do. And I think growing up, we're almost taught that you should strive for that thin, slim, lean look. Particularly through the ages when I grew up, it was definitely a trend that, you know, you wanted to look like, you know, that stick thin size 6 model. Be totally honest, that was exactly kind of what everyone seemed to aspire to look like. And I think when you achieve that, which I ultimately did, it's hard to then change that goal and change that aspiration to something very different. And I think letting go of that control is one of the hardest things. So for me, letting go of that idealistic look of having abs, looking lean, to something that was very different, to something where it was more about changing those goals, to actually my goal is getting my period back, is looking healthier, is feeling healthier, is having more energy. Even little things like those negatives that do come with being that lean. So I was colder, I thought about food a lot more, my sleep wasn't great, my digestion wasn't always great. All those things that actually I knew I could change through gaining weight. And I think it's about trying to focus on all those positives rather than the negatives, which I know is easier said than done, don't get me wrong. And I think that's why I want to do this video, because it's not just about simply saying, well, actually,
turn this negative into positive.
I mean, I think if it was that easy, we'd all be doing it. But that's definitely a good place to start. Some people find it useful to journal and write these things down, whereas for me, I just kind of thought about them on a day-to-day basis. I would maybe, anything that came up in my head, any negative thought, I would straight away think, no, how can I think about this in a positive way? And I always told myself to come back to the why. So why am I gaining weight? Why am I thinking this way? And I think if you can focus on your why, it's a lot easier to deal with those negative things. So my body is gaining weight. I'm putting on fat. Why? Because I want to be healthier. I want to get my period back. I want to have more energy. And if you focus on your why, it definitely helps you to achieve that goal. And also sometimes setting yourself a little goal. So the ultimate goal for me was to gain weight in order to get my period back. But I set myself lots of mini goals. So for example, one of them for me was to gain at least 10 pounds in weight. And I know for some people that might not be a goal that they would set because they wouldn't want to have to step on the scales and monitor that weight gain. Whereas for me, I actually found that quite useful. So I found stepping on the scales every few days to monitor that weight increase actually for me was a positive. And the more I did that, the more I knew I was actually closer to achieving my goal. And it was a real positive, but I think it depends on where you're at and what your association is in terms of your mindset with things like the scale and whether those numbers would trigger you into thinking more negative thoughts, or like me, whether it would be more of a positive thing. Like I said, I think it's about letting go of that control. So it's about being able to trust your body and to trust your body that it knows what it wants, and letting go of those reins of control and restriction and fears and all those things that you've held probably quite tightly. So for me, I was quite restrictive with food. I never had an eating disorder. I was never severely underweight, but I was quite restrictive in terms of what I ate and when I ate. Little things like if I'd eaten an unhealthy meal, what I would have considered an unhealthy meal one night, the next day I would think, oh, I've got to be really healthy, I've got to eat lots of fruit and veg. Whereas, you know, yes, that is good to an extent still, and that can be healthy. But for me, I probably took it too much to the extreme. And I think it's letting go of those ideas of what's healthy, what's unhealthy, what I need to control, what I need to look like, and letting go of all those little things can actually turn you into a much better person. I think I've learned a lot about myself along the way in terms of what's important, what I value, and it's taught me to be kinder to myself, to not be so hard on myself, to not judge myself in a certain way, and turn all those little things into things that actually, like I say, has made me a healthier, happier person with more energy. I don't think about food in the same way. I don't look at restaurant menus before because I need to think of something that might be healthier on the menu if I've already eaten out that week or I've already had a takeaway that week. But actually just seeing food as food, and food is something to be enjoyed with other people. And I think other people probably notice that as well. I think they know more than you realise, and they can sense things more than you realise, and those anxieties that you might have had around food and, oh, should I eat this, should I eat that? Other people do notice it, and I think they also then notice when you no longer have those and you're more present in the moment. You're not thinking about food, you're not thinking about, oh, when can I next go to the gym, or when can I exercise and feel better because I've eaten this, but then I'm exercising later, so it's fine. Other people notice, and other people see you as a happy, healthier person. And for me, if that's not a positive, then what is? So I think for me, it's about rewiring your mindset from those old destructive patterns to new, healthier ones, and also knowing that it's not forever. So you're not going to just, your weight gain's not going to be unlimited. You're not going to keep gaining weight forever. And for whatever reason you're doing it for, it's not to say you can't ever lose weight, or you might just want to maintain, but it's about seeing it as a healthy process that your body needs to go through for whatever your specific goal is. Actually, quite quickly, you'll start seeing positive changes from it. And I think it's keeping an eye on those positive changes, because they're what helps you turn those negative thoughts into a positive thoughts. So for me, it was things like I started gaining weight, and I noticed my sleep started getting better. I wasn't waking up in the night, which I actually think now was because I was hungry. Even though at the time I didn't realise that, I didn't feel hunger. Since gaining weight, I very rarely wake up in the night. Definitely not to go to the toilet, which is what I used to do, and I think it was just a habit because I woke up and I was hungry and I'd go to the toilet. I no longer do that. Definitely having more energy. I would say I no longer get those afternoon dips in energy that I used to do, and I overall have much better energy. I'm warmer. I've always been a cold person, and I still am a cold person in comparison to a lot of people, but definitely not at the same extent that I was when I was really lean. I would really feel the cold all the time, whereas I would say now it's much less so. I generally am much warmer. Your hair growth is better, your nail growth is better. There's so many things that I've noticed: an increase in libido. My digestive system is probably better. I think my digestive system struggled. I think your gut health struggles when you're not necessarily feeding your gut enough. You're obviously not eating enough. You're not getting as much of a variety of foods, and definitely I've noticed my digestive system's been better, so I'm probably holding on to more nutrients from food than I previously was. I think sometimes as well, I know when I first started gaining weight, a lot of the weight did go to my stomach, and obviously that's probably the area that you least want it to go to, let's be honest. But actually, your body does that. It's almost a survival mechanism. So if you've gone from being quite lean and being slim and having abs, and then start putting on weight, naturally your body wants to put it on to protect your organs. It goes around your middle. But it's knowing that that's not forever, and you know, my weight did distribute a lot more evenly as the months went on. So yes, initially it went around my stomach, and that obviously meant your clothes are going to be tighter in those areas straight away. But then over time, so after probably about, to be honest actually, probably once I got my period back actually, so after about 3 or 4 months, it started to distribute around my body a lot more evenly. And now, you know, some of it has gone to my glutes, my bum, great, loving it. As well as my boobs. My boobs are bigger, another positive. But it does distribute more evenly around your body, and seeing clothes get tighter is a hard thing as well. And I think a lot of girls struggle with the idea of, oh, I've got to get the next size up and I've got to go buy a whole new wardrobe. And initially, luckily for me, and you know, it was part of one of our lockdowns in the UK, and that was great because it meant I could often wear joggers, or you know, I did buy a few new work clothes, but I could wear joggers a lot of the time, and you notice weight gain so much less when you're not wearing tight jeans. But then I got to a point where I was like, no, this is daft. I'm gonna have to buy some new clothes. And actually when I put them on, when I put that bigger size pair of jeans on, I noticed more curves. They were then obviously, they fitted, they were comfortable. I actually felt so much better. I felt more confident. I felt sexier, way more than I did when I was leaner. And it's funny, all those changes in my body now, I absolutely love, and I wouldn't have been able to imagine it when I had abs. I thought, you know, that was great, but actually,
nobody can see those abs.
You know, Joe Blogs walking down the street can't see those abs. Most of your friends, you know, they don't see those abs. Yes, when you're in the gym, maybe, but 9 times out of 10, you're not walking around with your abs out. And you know what? Why do we see abs as such a positive? I'm not sure, to be honest, anymore. You know, for me at one point, again, it was a positive. Whereas now, I'd rather look better in clothes, and I definitely feel like I look better in clothes since putting on weight. And it's another thing that I don't think you're aware about until it happens. And when it does happen, you're like, oh, God, what? Yeah, why was I so worried about this? I look so much better. Now I have got more curves, I have got more weight on me. Clothes actually fit not a lot better than when you're actually really lean. And in terms of the judgment from other people, or perceived judgment from other people, I think it's about thinking about, why does that matter to you? So the people that are closest to you, your family, your friends, they'll just want you to be happy. They don't care about if you gain weight. You know, that if anything, like I said before, that can make you a better person to be around and a more happy person to be around. So for them, it's probably only a positive. And yes, the occasional people who are maybe not as close to you and don't know why you're gaining weight and just notice the weight changes, if they make negative comments, then that's their problem. And I think, again, it comes back to that why are you doing it? And it doesn't matter what other people think. If you can be healthier, if you can gain your period back, if that's one of those reasons, if you can become stronger, if you can gain muscle, all those things are way better than a couple of comments from other people. And it's looking at why that even matters to you. And I don't think many people will actually notice. So I know from my opinion, my personal experience, I didn't get any negative comments, nothing. Maybe the odd thing on an Instagram picture, but you know, that just comes part and parcel with having a bigger audience. So you're going to get some negative comments, you can't please everyone. But on the whole, people around me, you know, people I saw, I never got any negative comments, but actually I got loads of positive ones in terms of, you know, you're looking so much better, you're looking healthier, you don't look as gaunt. I think sometimes in your face, when you're very lean, you can look quite gaunt. And I didn't even realise that until now. I look back at pictures and think, oh God, yeah, like I didn't look healthy in my face. And actually it's quite aging as well. Whereas I now almost feel like I look slightly younger and I look healthier, and other people notice that a lot. And, you know, things like my boyfriend would make comments about, you know, me having bigger boobs, me having a bigger bum, and he didn't have anything negative to say. And I think he just accepted that he was rather, I was happy and healthy in my body, and that was all that mattered to him. So I think those things, it's just about dismissing them almost as actually, if you spend your life worrying about other people's judgment, you'll never change. And we need to change in order to grow as people. And I think we can't grow unless we change and unless we put those things aside. And it's something you can relate to anything. It's, you know, in terms of, oh, I won't go for that job because what will somebody else think, or what will the interviewer think of me? And, you know, you don't then think, oh, well, I won't go to that interview in case they don't like me. You think, oh, I'm going to give it my best shot because actually I'm doing this for me, not for them. And I think it's looking about weight gain in a similar way, as you're doing it for you, not for other people. And life is full of moments where things are unplanned, things are uncertain. Not everything will have a plan or an explanation. And I think if you can let go of that, that also helps so much, because you're not over-analysing the weight gain, you're not overthinking the weight gain. Sometimes I think you can stress too much about gaining weight, particularly, for example, if you're going through hypothalamic amenorrhea. That added stress can then have a negative impact. Whereas if you almost just learn to, if you almost just can go with it and think, right, this is my goal, I'm going to gain weight. How I get there, who knows? What happens, who knows? But actually just embracing those changes, again, because it comes back to that growth. If you can embrace those changes, and although, yes, you need a bit of a plan, don't get me wrong, and you need a plan in terms of how you're going to increase calories, how you're going to reduce exercise. But I think once you've got that plan, it's going with the uncertainty, the unknown of what that brings. And I think if you can embrace those things, it's easier then to get to that end result and feel happy about it and feel less negative about it, rather than if you try and control and plan and, you know, have certainty around everything, then you'll find it really hard to get there. And I think it's about thinking. Gaining weight doesn't mean you are going to be unattractive. You know, gaining weight shouldn't be about your physical appearance. It doesn't mean that you've let go of yourself. It doesn't mean that you're unhealthy or you've failed as a person or you've lost control. It doesn't mean any of those things. Gaining weight does not mean any of those things. Gaining weight means that you're often more healthy, you actually look more attractive, you're sexier than before. Gaining weight means you're making a choice to improve your health and you're taking back that control. Gaining weight means you're closer to reaching your goal, whether that's recovering your period, whether that's gaining strength, whether that's increasing muscle. Gaining weight can mean reducing hunger. It can mean reducing food focus. And often gaining weight means nourishing your body to allow it to be the healthiest that can be. So whether that is, again, having a period and then ultimately having a baby, or whether that is just feeling good in yourself, whether that is increasing energy, whether that is allowing yourself to have better sleep, whether that is allowing yourself to feel sexier, to allowing yourself to have an increased libido and wanting to have healthier hair, healthier nails, whatever that may be for you. I think those things are way more important than those negative thoughts that you might feel along the way. And I think sometimes it helps as well talking to other people about it, listening to podcasts on it from other people's experiences. I follow a lot of people on Instagram that promote body positivity, promote gaining weight, talk about things like hypothalamic amenorrhea and why weight gain is such a positive thing. And I think if you absorb yourself in a lot of those things and push aside those negatives, then you'll get there. And for me, it was totally worth it. The weight gain was worth it. Obviously, to regain my period, it was worth it. How I feel now, the energy I have now. A lot of people will say that, actually, looking at me, they'll say, even, for example, just even comments on Instagram of, God, you look so much happier, you look so much healthier, you look full of life. All those things, now I get way more compliments than I ever did on being lean or having abs, and those things really shouldn't be important. And don't get me wrong, I think there's a time and place, and if that's your goal, completely fair enough. And I'm not judging anybody's goal, I'm not saying that shouldn't be your goal, but for me, my goal and where I am now is way better than that goal. So yeah, so I hope that was helpful, and you know, you're able to take something away from that, and something that would enable your journey to be as positive as mine and enable you to continue that weight gain journey. And like I say, knowing it's not forever, but actually it's what your body needs, and it will help you reach that ultimate goal. And when you get there, you'll be so proud of yourself, and you'll look back and think that was all worth it. All those down days, all those negative thoughts, all those moments when you wanted just to give in and you wanted to just, you know, think, I can't do this anymore. All those moments that you have are so worth it when you can push through and you can keep going towards reaching your goal and you achieve it, and it's just totally worth it. But yeah, so I hope that was useful. Any thoughts, comments, questions? If there's any other aspects of weight gain that you want me to cover, then please let me know below. That'd be great. I'm happy to just cover whatever you want to hear, really. I want to make, like I say in the previous videos, I want to make these videos as useful and as valuable as possible for you all. So yeah, if you could like and also subscribe to my channel, that would be great, as it just helps me reach more and more of you guys. And yeah, like I say, thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one.